Chapter 3. The Nightingale. Long ago in China, the emperor lived in a palace that people said was the most beautiful palace in the world. The whole building was made of the most expensive porcelain. Now porcelain, as you know, is the thin delicate glass that can break very easily. All the people who lived and worked there had to be careful while walking, cleaning and cooking. Even the visitors were warned about the delicate nature of the palace and were told to be cautious not to damage the palace in any way, as even a little bit damage could make the emperor extremely angry. The garden surrounding the palace was not only the loveliest of the garden, it was also so large that even the gardeners did not know where it ended. However, some travelers who had gone beyond the garden came back and reported that the garden eventually became a huge forest that extended down to the seashore. They also spoke of a nightingale that sat in the branches of a tree and sang beautifully. The poor and tired fishermen would stop their work to listen to the enchanting notes that came out of the throat of the nightingale. Many travelers from round the globe came to see the grand porcelain palace and the wonderful garden, but when they heard the song of the nightingale, they all agreed that best thing about the palace and its vast grounds was the melodious song of the nightingale. "Oh, what a beautiful voice!" they cried out in amazement. When they got back home, they could not forget the song of the nightingale that lived in the forest that sloped down to the sea. Poems and books were written in praise of its magical voice. And so it happened that one of these books reached the hands of the emperor. He was pleased to read about all the great things written about his palace and gardens. He read some more and then suddenly he read about the nightingale and was astonished. "What?" he said. "The nightingale is the most beautiful all the things in my empire. Where and what is this nightingale? I don't know anything about it." He called one of his courtiers and said, "There is a wonderful bird that is mentioned in this book. It lives in my garden, but I have never seen it or been told about it." "I have never heard of the name of such a bird," said the courtier. "She has not ever been presented in the palace. The whole world knows that this bird is mine, and I don't know about it," said the emperor. "I want her to be presented in my court this evening." The courtier went off in search of someone who could tell him about this famous bird, but returned and said, "Your Majesty, no one knows about this bird. You can't believe everything you read about in books." "Nonsense," said the emperor. "The mighty emperor of Japan has sent me this book, and so what is written in it cannot be false. You bring that bird to me this evening after dinner." Everyone in the palace went into a tizzy. The only question asked that day was, "What is this nightingale? Where is it? We have to find it by this evening." Then a poor little kitchen maid said, "I know the nightingale very well. When I go home tired from my hard day's work, I sit in the forest to rest and listen to the song of the nightingale, and tears come into my eyes." The courtier went with the kitchen maid into the forest. On their way they heard many sounds: the lowing of a cow, the croaking of the frogs, and sounds made by other animals and birds. Every time the courtier asked if it was the nightingale, the girls said they had to walk some more. Suddenly they heard the song of the nightingale and looked up to see the small plain bird. Is that simple-looking creature the great songbird we have been looking for? Is it possible that she has changed her color after seeing so many grand people staring at her? "Little nightingale," said the kitchen maid, "our gracious emperor wants to meet you and listen your song. Will you come to the palace with us and sing for him?" "My song sounds best in the green forest, but I shall certainly come to the palace. It will give me a great pleasure to sing for the emperor," said the bird. There was a great excitement in the palace. The porcelain walls were cleaned and polished, and the decorations were put up all over the palace. In the middle of the huge hall was a golden perch for the nightingale to sit on. All the people in the palace were dressed up for what was going to be a special event. Then the tiny grey bird flew into the room, sat on the golden perch, and sang so beautifully that the emperor's eyes filled with tears. All those who heard her were enthralled. Could such marvelous notes come out of the throat of such a small ordinary bird? The emperor was so delighted that he wanted to hang a golden slipper round the neck of the bird. But she said, "I have seen tears in the eyes of the emperor, and that is enough for me." The bird continued to enter in the court that evening, and then it was decided that she should remain there in her own golden cage. 12 servants were to take care of her, and a silken thread was tied to her leg. This did not last for long. One day the emperor received a package that contained an artificial bird. It was covered with rubies and diamonds and all manner of precious stones. All who saw it said, "How pretty this bird is." When it was wound up, it even sang like the real nightingale. The emperor was pleased. "Now both the birds shall sing together, and we shall hear a duet." The birds did sing, but it didn't work well for the artificial birds, and only one type of song, and the nightingale sang in her own natural way. The nightingale then kept quiet, and the artificial bird kept getting wound up, and sang the same songs over and over again, till the emperor said, "Give the nightingale a chance to sing also." But where was she? She had quietly flown back to her home in the green forest. "What an ungrateful bird!" exclaimed the people. "Anyway, this artificial bird is much prettier, and can sing as well." In this manner a year passed, and soon the emperor and all his people knew the songs of the artificial bird, and loved them. Only the poor fishermen knew that they were wrong, and no artificial bird could sing as well as their little nightingale. All good things must come to an end, and so it was with the artificial bird as well. With a whirring of the wheels in the music machine, in its bejeweled body, the bird suddenly stopped singing. It was fixed by a watchmaker, but he said the machine had worked for too long, and now the mechanical bird could sing just once a year. The emperor was very sad. 5 years passed, and the emperor became very ill. The people were filled with sorrow. A new emperor was selected, as the sick emperor could die at any moment. The emperor was cold and pale and lay on his bed. There was a silence in the palace that had once been filled with the songs of the nightingale. The emperor looked at the artificial bird and said, "Sing, please sing. I have given you a golden slipper that hangs round your neck." Not a sound came from the bird. Meanwhile the nightingale heard about the emperor's illness. She came and sat on a branch of a tree outside the emperor's bedroom window. She began to sing. She sang of hope and joy, of peace and love, and the paleness disappeared from the cheeks of the emperor. Blood flowed rapidly in his poor ill body, and his strength returned. "Go on, little nightingale, go on," he said, and the little bird continued to sing. As she sang, the emperor fell into a deep sleep. When he woke, he was strong and happy, and the warm sunshine touched him as it shone through his window. "You will now stay with me, little bird," said the emperor, "and you will sing only when you want. I shall destroy the artificial bird." "No, your majesty," said the bird. "I sang for you and gave you pleasure. I will sit outside your window and sing for you. But promise me one thing." "Anything," said the emperor. "Please don't tell anyone about me. I shall sing for you and fill you with joy. I shall fly away to the fishermen and the poor who are tired and sad, and will sing for them to make them happy." Let no one know that there is a little bird that tells you everything and sings for your happiness." With this the bird flew away. The emperor got up and put on his best robes. His servants entered his room, expecting him to be dead, and there he was as strong and happy as ever. Their eyes were round with astonishment when he said,